Yo,
What's up, dude?
how's it going?
Should I turn it sideways or anything? Or
No, this is good actually. Yeah,
all right, so
how's it going?
good, bro. How's it going?
Good. You got the chocolate milk?
This one's like a
Oh, that's the cranberry one.
yeah, it's like a tart cherry juice, I guess.
Oh, okay.
It's just
No,
a,
I've seen that. I've seen that's like good, like recovery stuff. A tart cherry
yeah,
extract
it's
or
like a
whatever.
new thing they've been leaving at the PI now.
I saw some research on it. It looks pretty cool, or like at least good for you. I don't like it though. It
Yeah,
tastes like beetroot or like just so tart.
yeah, just gotta throw it back.
So just to start us off, I saw you posted a couple hours ago an IG reel about you being a UFC fighter and how it must attract a lot of women. I can
Yeah.
just walk me through posting that. What goes through your head when you post that stuff, man?
Honestly, like I remember when I started MMA, or actually when I started jujitsu, because I started with jujitsu first, and I just wanted to do jujitsu and all, and MMA and all that stuff, just to like keep me in shape, and like, make sure I have my abs and make sure I'm like strong and healthy. So I was like, chicks will love that. Dude. Chicks are gonna love it. And if I'm like doing cool stuff, then it's like chicks are gonna love it. But apparently, girls ideally they don't really enjoy watching other guys knock each other out or tackle each other and wrap each other up. They're really not into it. So it's funny because like when I was always like around and doing this stuff, my DMs were always just more flooded with guys. I was like, damn, dude, you're fucking jacked, bro. You're fucking jacked, dude. You're huge. And now, yeah, it's like it's never the chicks. It's never the chicks. So I think what brings chicks, it's the money. So it's like if you make it and you're doing good, and then you got the money, the girls really like that. That makes more sense. No one told me that when I was younger.
You gotta find them before you start fighting and before you get the money, so you know that they're a keeper.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. So you post a lot of outlandish stuff on your Instagram. Are you like big into keeping content up on your store on your media, or is that just for fun?
Yeah, it's like a little bit of both. I feel like we're in like a day and age now where it's like not just about who's the best fighter or who's the this and that. It's kind of like who can you fight, and then can you also like sell tickets or entertain and be like a someone that's somebody that someone wants to watch. Whether that's watch you win, watch you lose. It's like an entertainment business now, and it's a weird thing. And it's so it's kind of a little bit of both. It's kind of like funny, it's entertaining, it's kind of like easy or whatever, but also it's definitely to kind of like keep the name going and keep the name out there, and hopefully something comes with more opportunities with it. Whether that's like if the following goes up, cool, but like the more that the following comes up, I feel like in general in this world, like opportunities come more and fights happen better for you or sponsorships come through and stuff like that. So it's never like a bad thing, I guess. It's more work that we have to do on the other side, which yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I've heard people call it the O'Malley treatment. If you sell, you get good matchups and you get built up as a fighter. So, not any dissing towards him. He sells. He does his job.
Yeah.
But
I would love that route. That'd be a nice route.
yeah, exactly, right? So, that content's just part of it. So, take me back to, before all of that, growing up in Washington. How'd you get into combat sports and eventually jiu-jitsu?
Mm-hmm. I when I was like when I was like in high school and middle school and stuff like that, I kind of just got like introduced to wrestling, and I remember I was like kind of sitting at the I was sitting in my wrestling room. I think it was like my junior year or something like that. And I was like, damn. I was like, I do not know what I want to do with my life. Like, I was like, this looks crazy because school for me was like not the easiest thing. It was actually like quite the opposite. It was a very tough thing for me. So I was kind of always on that where I was like, this is tough and I don't know what I want to do. So it was either like military or maybe try to, do something. And then fighting always seemed really cool to me. I really enjoyed fighting. I did a lot of sports, like team sports and stuff, but I'd never really enjoyed team sports more than I enjoyed like wrestling. Once I started wrestling, I was like, oh, this is all on me. This is it's a really cool feeling. 'Cause I used to move around a lot and I would play football. So then I would move to a new school all the time, and then I would try to test out for my position, and maybe the guy, I was better than him, but he would just kind of always get the spot because he's been there longer than me or whatever, so I wouldn't get all the snaps or I wouldn't get all like the plays. But when it came to wrestling and I would go to a new school, we just had to fight for varsity, so I really like that aspect of like, if you are good and you fight for it, then you can kind of like win and take and everything like that. So, and you earn whatever you keep. So I really like that type of style of what I was trying to do. And then MMA just seemed like the right choice for me. But yeah, then after that I moved to Texas, and then I wanted to get an MMA, but they didn't have any MMA gyms. And then jiu-jitsu was there, so I was like, shoot, I already got the wrestling, so I'll just make the wrestling with the jiu-jitsu, and I'll be like a deadly force there. But then jiu-jitsu kind of started taking off, getting bigger, and kind of got sucked into it. So I was like, all right, let's just keep doing this. And then after a while, I was just like, fuck, I kind of already been doing this, competed at black belt for a while. Didn't really kind of got to that point where I was like, I want to go to MMA. That's what I wanted to do. And then so I started trying to train for that, and then kind of things just started working out, and then took 5 fights, and then just kind of reassessed after I did the 5. It's been going good.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. You have a very good record at 8-1. So tell me more about that transition. You mentioned you moved to Texas, but you're now training at a syndicate. So tell me how you got to there and when that was a part of your journey, whether it was during your BJJ or after you had already transferred to MMA.
Yeah, so I kind of like, when I made the switch to MMA, I was kind of just like, I told myself I'm going to do 5 fights, and then I'm going to see how that goes. So I'll see what my record looks like and see how the fights end up going. I was like, maybe I don't want to do it because it's a brutal sport, and did my 5 fights. I won 5-0. I was like finishing guys. I was feeling really good. I was like, dang, I probably got, a lot of good potential at this. And when I was training in Austin, like I was literally just like I was hitting the bag. I had like some roommates that trained jiu-jitsu, but like they never did striking. We just would like look up stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, all right, hold this combo. And then I would just like hit these combos, and then I would go teach jiu-jitsu. And then on the side, after I was done teaching everybody, I'd go on to the side and then do my own type of training. But it's like, I wasn't training with MMA guys. So it's like, I wasn't getting like the real looks. And then I would go fight, and then I would just like try to just throw everything I could at these guys and just like take them out. And then did 5 fights. I did 5-0. And then I was like, okay, I need to take this more serious. So I was thinking about a couple places I wanted to go live. Like I was thinking about Florida, but Florida was kind of, to me, it was like, could be hurricanes like tomorrow. So I was like, I don't really want to be caught into that. And then I was thinking about going to Arizona. But it kind of seemed like to me, it would be like the same situation. I'd be here, except I'd be in Arizona. I'd be in Texas, or I'd just be in Arizona. At least I'd be training MMA, but there was a gym I wanted to train out there. But then I was like, shoot, maybe I just go to Vegas. Like Vegas is like the fight capital. Mm-hmm. The UFC's there. I want to fight in the UFC. They have the PI. I was like, whenever I get into the UFC, I'll have access to the PI, which will make my life easier. And then after that, so I just was like, all right, I'm going to go move to Vegas. I took like 2 or 3 trips, trained at a couple of different gyms, and then just kind of see like where my vibe fit, what I like to do. And then when I went out there the first time, I jumped around, and then the second time I was kind of like looking around, and then third time, I already kind of knew some people, so I had like a good place to stay. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sell all my stuff, and then just move out here, and then just try to figure it out as I go,
Yeah.
And I landed in Syndicate.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you had already built some relationships with guys that were there. And on that, back to the social media, you've had several posts training with Marab, and he's obviously one of the best guys fighting in the UFC now, and he's a very talented fighter at your gym. So, talk to me about that relationship, how that came about, and how many minutes you guys are getting on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, with Marab, I feel like it was cool because when I got there, Marab was fighting, I think, like Peter Yan or something like that.
Mhm.
So he wasn't even the champ yet, but he was definitely on his way. And yeah, I fought Peter, or he fought Peter Yan. I was just kind of training there a little bit, and then I watched him go from like Peter Yan to like title contender to winning the belt and defending the belt multiple times, and just like watching him go through all that whole process was really cool. But I just I like being in the same room as that guy, I like training with the guy. I would say there's not like a ton of people I will have looked up to, or been able to be around someone like that, where I look up to someone like that. And so being around him is just it's really cool. And it's something that it's good for my game too, because I get to just learn from him, and his style is good for my style. I can't do his style to a T because it's Marab's style,
Mhm.
but I can always take a little bit and pieces of his game and add it to mine, and I'm like, oh, this is gold, And it's like I said, I get to just train with him all the time too, which is a really cool thing. That's something I think I'll look back on and I'll be like, oh damn, that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, Marab's obviously one of the greats, so I can definitely see how getting in those extra minutes obviously makes you better. So Marab's, he is great, but it's not one person that makes the gym; it's everyone. And Syndicate has one of the better rosters out of all the gyms in the country. So besides Marab, who are you getting minutes with in on a day-to-day basis over there? And are there any fighters over there that you consider more as like friends than just training partners?
Yeah, I have I got Andre Feely. He's like a good friend of mine now. We've been training now for a year and a half now, which is kind of weird, but we've been training a lot, and we hang out a lot out at the gym. Vince Morales, he was fighting in the UFC, and but that's someone that I hang out with all the time and stuff outside of the gym. And yeah, man, and there's so many guys in there that I mesh with, so it's really cool. It's like when you go to a gym and you vibe with everybody, it's the best. It makes going to the gym a lot easier when it's such a hard thing, so it's when you enjoy it, you enjoy the people you're around and training, it's the best.
Yeah, obviously when you're training with people that you consider your friends, it makes the work a lot more fun and less, difficult, I'd say, right? With that, the people at the gym, like you said, are your friends, and a lot of times people get their nicknames from guys who run the gyms, and you in particular don't have one listed. So a lot of guys, by the time they get to the UFC, have one. So in your case, is that a personal preference, or is that just, you think you haven't found it yet? And if you had to come up with one to go with the rest of your career, what do you think it would be?
It's hard because it's so hard, but it could be so easy too, it's I feel like Kody Steele is pretty cool on its own, and I can just rock with it and just because honestly, a lot of people just call me by my full name.
Mhm.
When they see me, they Kody Steele. They don't say oh, Cody or this. It's always Kody Steele, I think nicknames would be cool. I think the only one that sticks out to me that people say is that I like or whatever is people say Cody Smash or Cody Smash Steele. It's just because I'm always in the gym dogging people or cooking them and smashing them. But that one kind of resonates more. But then also people just give me a hell random nickname games all the time, you know. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe something will come up, but for now, I think it'll be Kody Steele.
Yeah, it does. The three syllables rolls off the tongue well, Kody Steele. So if when the wins do come along, maybe someone will accidentally say something that catches on. But for now, I don't think no rush. You know what I mean? So you mentioned Kody Smash, and on that you have a very extensive BJJ background. You competed in ADCC, Who's Number One, UFC Fight Pass Invitational. So everyone knows you as a submission artist, but before the Marfan fight, you were just dominating guys, via KOs. So how did your striking develop to that level when you had already built that strong base on BJJ?
I think I just forced myself to do it, because it's very uncomfortable striking. And I just didn't want to get to at least a good level in the UFC where I was not comfortable in there. And I think when I was living in Austin and I did most of my MMA career over there, I wasn't training striking, or I wasn't training punches to take down and holding people down, and I wasn't getting the right proper reactions from my training partners for MMA. So I was just all right, these guys think I'm going to take them down. I'm going to act like I'm going to take them down, but then I'm going to just throw my hands as hard as I can, and I'm going to clip these guys, and I'm going to see what I'm about also. A lot of it was just proving to myself that I'm not scared to sit there and stand and bang and throw. It's not something I would think everyone should do, or so they prove to themselves that they're tough enough. But even when I was even when I would do street fights, I get hit sometimes, but I have never been in a real dog fight, anything like that, because most of the time I would get hit, but then I'd hit him back, and then he'd either fall or I would take him down, and then I would just hit him or something, So it's kind of I just wanted to experience that and make sure that that was there if I needed it, but I always knew the grappling would be there. Especially after I moved to Vegas and I got more time to practice, getting people to the ground and doing stuff like that. So that was kind of my idea. Now that I'm in the UFC and I see some of these guys that are kind of moving up into the division and stuff like that, and there's some fights out there that I'm fuck, I should be running with these guys and I should be running with these prospects and stuff like that. So now my mentality is going to change. It's let me use my best weapons, and if you stop that, then I'll use my hands, or I'll mix it up really well. But yeah, I'm pretty much I'm there to win now, and I think if I'm there to win, I'll win. And if something happens, it's going to be a banger of a fight anyway. So they got to stay locked in.
Yeah, 100%. And we know, obviously, with your constant finishes on your professional career, professional record, that whatever fight you have is going to be exciting. And on that, take us back to that ADCC time, because I'm sure you're familiar with the video I'm talking about, where in your match the fight spills off over into the rug and you end up getting the finish there. So talk me through that moment and how bad that rug burn was.
Yeah, it was funny because I remember the bracket, and I remember looking at the bracket oh god, there's a lot of matches, and I was telling my buddy William, I was I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to just sub these dudes and get out. I'm chilling, I'm not going to do anything too wild. And then I saw the kid I had a match with, my first match. I was oh my god, I was just the way that this kid was, the way he was rolling and just competing. I was oh man, me and this kid can go at it for sure. And but my head, just because because he was more of a wrestler kind of, and in my head, when you do ADCC rule set, the rules are is when you go out of bounds, if there's still activity, there's still movement, and you guys are scrapping, then the refs don't stop it. But once there's a stalemate or a little pause, the ref will stop it. So in my head, I'm always I'm gonna go. And normally when people get to outside or out of bounds, when they get close to out of bounds, they just stop. So this rules, you keep going. So I feel when you're scrambling off the mat, one person is thinking, oh, the ref's gonna stop it. The ref's gonna stop it. They're not really thinking about the next move, and I'm only thinking like gas. You know, like I'm always thinking going straight, going forward, going, and so it's kind of like a strategy of mine when I do those tournaments. And then, yeah, next thing I know, I'm freaking rolling around on the carpet, scrapping all over the place, jumping on this dude's back. So, yeah, that's how it kind of got brought about. And then, yeah, I didn't know it was going to turn out like that, but it is what it is, I guess.
Hey, finish is a finish. You still got the submission, so that's what matters. So, with that, you have all these finishes, and, you have fight with those early knockouts, you have this brawling mentality. But you look over and how you think about that ADCC matchup, you have a very, student first mindset in the sport, and you're very, technical with it. And I can definitely see that, that's how you ended up earning your UFC contract when you won on the Contender Series with, a body shot TKO as well. So after all that, what was that moment like for you, and what did getting the call mean for you after, grinding to get to the UFC and making that move to Vegas?
I mean, honestly, like with the Contender Series, it's such a brutal part in the career. It's something that honestly, like I'll always remember, and just the way I was feeling about it, because the Contenders is such a crazy part, because you're pretty much invited to a fight, and you're fighting in front of Dana White, Sean Shelby, Mick, and all these guys, and you're invited to fight in front of these guys, and you're fighting for a contract. So it's like it's prospect versus prospect. So it's two dogs fighting for one bone, and if you win the fight, you get the contract. But that's also maybe, you can win and not get the contract, and then you can lose and then not get the contract. So it's like you work your whole life, and then you're literally at the doorstep of the biggest opportunity that you've always dreamed of. So you put a lot of pressure on yourself when you're in a situation like that. And but I mean, I was very nervous for it, but I was also just like locked in and ready to go. Like I was thinking, this dude's gonna have to for sure kill me. Like he's gonna have to turn me off. He's gonna have to hurt me bad. Like he's gonna have to stop me. Is my mentality going into that fight. But honestly, like then once I did my thing and I won the fight, oh yeah, that shit felt good. It felt like, it's like when everything comes together. Like every single loss that I've ever had in jiu-jitsu or anything, every sacrifice that I ever made, I felt like it was pretty much all worth it at that point. I said, okay, that's why that happened, and this is why I had to do this, and this is what I'm doing, And so it was a super awesome feeling. That's like, it was a crazy moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, getting into that and making that call is most fighters' biggest dream. And following that, the next fight didn't go your way against Rongju at UFC 312. But, after that, you immediately came back with a win. So, in between those two fights, tell me about how you processed the loss, took it, and learned from it to, come back and then win.
Yeah. I feel like with the loss, that Rongju, it was like a bittersweet moment because I got checked, I got exposed. So like it doesn't feel good when that happens, and taking a loss sucks. Like taking a loss in jiu-jitsu is never like a big deal to me. Like I almost have short-term memory loss when it comes to that type of stuff. Like, all right, yeah, you beat me, I don't care, whatever. When you lose in an MMA fight, it's like you got beat up, and I don't like getting beat up. Ideally, like that. It's just like it's a different feeling. So I lost the fight, and honestly, I've looked back at that fight probably twice. Honestly, like just to watch it. I've only watched it twice, and the only reason why I watched it was because I wanted to see the flaws that I was doing that somebody else might want to expose me with, So I was just kind of studying myself more than anything. But after the fight, I didn't watch the fight for like, I don't even know. Like it was wild just because I just knew like I was a lot better than that. And I knew that I made so many mistakes that I didn't even really want to sit there and correct them because I already knew. But yeah, I knew I was a lot better than that. So I had like a layoff where like they didn't call me back to fight for like a year. But yeah, it was like a weird bittersweet moment because we also got fight of the night, so that kind of took some sting off of the loss, but we still took the L. And then yeah, I just waited for them to call me back, and then once I got the call to come back, I said, all right, this time I'm coming in to win. Like, I don't care like what people want to see. I don't care to put on a show. I don't care about like any of that. Like, what's important for me right now is just to get the win going, because that's just what matters in this game. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's just getting the win, especially where I'm at. I think if I just keep winning the fights, then it'll line me up into a position where I'm fighting somebody like a good name. And then if I'm like, all right, like, let's go, like, I'm gonna scrap, I'm gonna throw down, I'm gonna put a banger fight on, then at least I'm getting paid for it. But ideally, I don't just do that for fun, for shits and giggles now, you know.
Yeah, and you're obviously on a good start. Went into enemy territory in Perth, Australia. Yeah, again, you opened the card against Dalmar Fan, and you shut the crowd down with that first round heel hook. So, as a BJJ guy, and two, going into enemy territory against a hometown guy and winning, how did that all feel?
I felt really good. Feel like I think the win felt really, really good more than anything. Like I said, because I was sitting on a whole year of just kind of waiting to fight somebody. But then when I finally got to do it, it was good. It was good just to feel the win again. But um, fighting in enemy territory was pretty cool. It actually kind of helped me because I feel like sometimes the crowd can kind of persuade me to like do crazier shit. So like when they were like booing me, like they were booing me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's normal. And then when I shot on the guy and took him down, people just booed right away. So I was like, oh, you guys are just booing if I'm just doing anything. So it's like it didn't honestly help me because I was like, I could do whatever, and it was, you guys are booing me, it's not going to affect me. If you're cheering, it's not going to affect me. But yeah, it was fun. I just ideally wouldn't want to go back out to Australia for a while, at least. I would rather just fight here in Vegas or something.
Was the time difference a pain?
Yeah, it was a little weird, but actually, when I fought in Sydney, we fought at like 11 a.m. or something like that. So it's kind of weird. Like, I went and got in a scrap with Rongju, got my face all busted up, and then like literally like 20 minutes later, I'm back at the hotel just drinking a coffee because I was like, all right, that's weird.
Had
It's
the
like
rest of your
daylight.
day.
Yeah, and then but when we went to Perth this time, they had it at a normal time for the Perth crowd. So it was like, I think I fought at like 4. It was like a normal fight card.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it obviously, you got the win. So, coming off of that early stoppage, do you see your eyes on any potential next fights? And in your opinion, how close do you think we are to seeing another fight come up?
I think hopefully I fight soon. I'd like to get one going within like maybe like next month. That would be cool. Like if they gave me like 4 weeks, like I can make the weight and I can fight and be ready to go. But yeah, hopefully just not too long. And then ideal opponent, I don't really have like an ideal one. The only ones I can really think of, like I feel like the only guys I can think about are like guys who are just way above me, you know. Like I think Game Raw would be like a cool fight. I think like Brian Ortega would be a sick fight. I think like those type of guys I would like to fight. There's so many good guys that aren't even ranked that it's like shit. I'd rather just fight you guys later, you know. For now, just give me some easy fights or something.
So you consider those guys you just listed easy fights?
Some of them for sure. I think Gamrot would be a scrap. I think I could smoke Brian Ortega, and then yeah, I don't know who else I said, but I'd probably smoke him too. Everyone's so damn tough, but I don't know. I think fighting is so crazy. Like anytime if I like pick fights to win, like even for like me, if I know somebody or I know this person or I've trained with this person, I've trained with both these guys, I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna win. And then the other dude wins. I'm like, fuck this. this game is wild.
Yeah, it's
So
unpredictable. So let's say you fight in a month. There's a lot of the cards over this summer are, UFC experimenting. There's Belgrade, there's Baku, there's a lot of out of the country, but at the end, you have a couple fight nights and UFC 330 in Philly. Do any of those like catch your eyes for trying to get on those cards?
yeah, for sure. Honestly, any of them that are like in the States would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like anytime I have to go outside of the country to fight, it's a lot of extra work, and it's like I gotta adjust the time and this and that, and it's just a little bit more of a pain in the ass. But I'm also not complaining too much, because I think like if it wasn't for jujitsu, like when I did jujitsu, I used to travel all over the world and compete on shows and travel here and do this and do that. So like when I was doing that, I was like, oh my god, this is so awesome, this is so cool, and I still think it's dope as shit. When I'm done fighting, I'll be like, dude, I fought in Australia twice. Like that's so cool. But I think as of now, like it's just like fighting at the Apex wouldn't bother me. Fighting at like a T-Mobile, fighting in Texas wouldn't bother me. Fighting in Philly wouldn't bother me because those are just easier locations to get to and do it. But I don't know. Ideally, yeah, that would be good. Like I said, anything outside the country is always a little bit more of a pain, but
Yeah, definitely. When you don't have to work with those time zones, you don't have to work with extensive airplanes and having to find somewhere to stay. All these other extra things that you shouldn't have to deal with, and just focus on the fight. So I could definitely see how that would help. So let's say you do get that next fight in the next 2 months and you get a win there. From there, where do you see yourself going in the division over the next year or so?
if I win my next fight, I don't know. I would say I would probably get a new, I would like to try to get like a new contract or something like that. That'd be dope. And then if I could I don't know, it just kind of depends on just to see what they would want to do with me, I guess. Because like if I fight another guy who is like not ranked and not like that he's still new in the game and say it's a good layup fight for me to fight, then I'd fight that guy, beat him. If they wanted me to do that one more time, then I'd be down to do that. And then I think depending on how those fights go and play out, then I would probably gauge. Like ideally, I see myself finishing all these guys. So if I'm finishing them all, then I feel like almost just throw me in there and like let's get going. Put me against the better guys.
Yeah, so you're definitely a guy to look out for over the next years. I don't see a reason why the UFC wouldn't offer you another contract after another finish in the future. So
Yeah.
I have one more question before we finish up. And before that, I just want to thank you for your time and the opportunity to hop on the call.
Of course, bro. Yeah. Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, of course. And, when that next offer comes, in the near future, I'd love to hop on a call and break down that matchup with you.
For sure. Let's do it.
All right, yeah. So, my final question, just, outside of fighting, who is Kody Steele?
Outside of fighting, I'd say Kody Steele is a pretty chill dude. He likes to watch fights and he likes to chill and hang out with his friends. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's a good assumption.
Pretty chill dude. All right. Yeah, man. So, thanks again for everything. Like I said, that's all I have for tonight. And, yeah, thank you again, and have a great rest of your night.
Yeah. Appreciate that, bro. Thanks for having me.